My name is Rachel Moore. I'm 32 years old, and I work as a senior marketing specialist at a mid-sized tech firm in downtown Seattle, Washington. Tonight isn't just another late night in the office. It's the night I'll stand in front of executives from Orion Systems, a San Francisco-based powerhouse, and pitch a campaign that could save not only my career, but the jobs of 50 colleagues whose futures hang in the balance. Before I tell you what happened, let me pause for a second. If you've ever felt betrayed by the very people who should have had your back, you'll understand why I need to share this. And if you want to keep hearing stories like mine about family, betrayal, and rebuilding your own life, please hit like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might need it. Trust me, you're not alone. The apartment smells faintly of chamomile tea and baby lotion as I rush around, shoving items into a small backpack patterned with stars. Pajamas, a fresh pair of leggings, a thermometer. Sophie's stuffed bunny with one floppy ear. Every time I check the list on my phone, I second-guess myself. Did I pack her fever medicine? What about her blanket, the one with the purple trim she refuses to sleep without? My daughter coughs softly from the couch where she's curled under a quilt, cheeks pink with a low fever. She's only 3, fragile and sweet, and the thought of leaving her tonight feels like ripping myself in half. Still, I keep packing, because if I don't make it to this presentation, the deal falls through. And if the deal falls through, I'll be out of the running for the promotion I've worked toward for years. And worse, dozens of coworkers could lose their jobs. Rachel, Ethan's voice cuts into my frenzy. He leans against the bedroom doorframe, his tie already loosened from his day at the office. His expression is tight with concern. We need to go. Traffic on I-90 is already building. 1 minute, I whisper, my voice sharper than I intend. I zip Sophie's bag and glance at the phone pressed between my ear and shoulder. On the other end, my mother's voice filters through. Of course, honey. Family comes first. You know we'll take care of Sophie tonight. There's something in her tone I can't quite pin down, something brittle beneath the reassurance, but exhaustion keeps me from questioning it. I exhale in relief. Thank you, Mom. Really, I owe you. You've done so much for us already, she says quickly. Don't worry about a thing. The words should comfort me, but they land strangely, almost rehearsed. I brush the feeling aside. My parents have relied on me for years, but surely just one night of babysitting isn't too much to ask. I hang up, tuck the phone into my pocket, and scoop Sophie into my arms. She stirs, murmuring, "Mama," before resting her head on my shoulder. Her warmth steadies me. Ethan grabs the diaper bag and holds the door open. Ready? As I'll ever be. We step into the drizzle of a typical Seattle evening. Streetlights smear golden streaks across the wet pavement as Ethan pulls our car from the garage. Sophie's quiet breathing fills the back seat, her face pale but peaceful. My chest tightens. The city gives way to the suburbs of Bellevue in less than half an hour. Familiar oak trees arch over streets lined with manicured lawns. I know this neighborhood too well. I grew up on this block, walking to school with Vanessa, my older sister. I used to believe these homes represented stability, safety. Now, as Ethan squeezes my hand across the center console, all I can feel is unease. You're thinking about your parents, he says quietly. I nod, staring out the window. I just need tonight to go right. If they can watch Sophie, I'll have one less thing to worry about. His jaw tightens. Let's hope they remember what family means. The car slows as we turn into my parents' driveway, headlights catching the brick facade of the house where I spent my childhood. Sophie shifts in her sleep as I unbuckle her car seat. Ethan grabs her overnight bag from the trunk, and then the front door opens. My mother, Linda, steps out, her smile faltering as her eyes land on Sophie's duffel bag. For a moment, something icy twists in my stomach. Here we go, Ethan mutters under his breath. I square my shoulders, Sophie clinging to my neck, and walk toward the porch. My mother's smile fades the instant her eyes land on Sophie's pink duffel bag swinging from Ethan's hand. Her lips tighten, and the porch light casts sharp shadows across her face. What's this? She asks, voice clipped. It's Sophie's overnight bag, I answer, adjusting my daughter's warm weight against my shoulder. Just like we talked about earlier, I have the presentation tonight, remember? Her arms fold across her chest, and I feel a coldness seep into the space between us. We're not babysitters, Rachel. We already raised our kids. The words land like a slap. I blink, trying to make sense of them. Only an hour ago, on the phone, she had said, "Don't worry about a thing." Had I imagined it? Behind me, Ethan stiffens. "Linda," he says carefully, "Sophie has a fever. She needs familiar faces tonight, not a stranger from a last-minute service." Rachel's presentation could decide the future of her company. We're not talking about dinner with friends. This matters. My mother's gaze doesn't soften. I said we'd talk about it. I didn't agree to anything. Confusion knots in my stomach. I step forward, shifting Sophie's head to my other shoulder. "Mom, please. I wouldn't ask if it weren't important. It's one night. You know what's at stake." She opens her mouth, but a burst of laughter drifts from inside the house, high-pitched and childlike. My pulse spikes. Without waiting for permission, I move past her into the foyer. The smell of popcorn and apple-scented candles greets me. From the living room, I hear the clatter of building blocks and more laughter. "Rachel, this isn't a good time," Mom says sharply behind me, but I've already followed the noise. My father, Richard, is kneeling on the rug, carefully stacking Lego bricks into a tower. On either side of him are my nephews, Vanessa's boys, 6 and 4, giggling as they knock the structure down again and again. And there's Vanessa herself, lounging on the sofa in leggings and an oversized sweater, scrolling on her phone like she owns the place. She barely glances up when I enter. "Seriously?" The word bursts out of me. "You can watch her kids, but not mine?" Dad looks up, guilt flickering across his face before smoothing into something unreadable. "We didn't know you were stopping by, Rachel." "You didn't—" My voice cracks. "We talked on the phone an hour ago. Mom told me you'd take Sophie tonight." Vanessa chuckles without lifting her eyes. "You always hear what you want to hear." "Vanessa," Ethan warns, his voice low, but she shrugs. "I have a migraine," she says casually. "Mom and Dad are helping me out tonight. The boys wear me out." I stare at her, blood rushing in my ears. For 6 years, I've carried my parents through every financial hiccup, every unexpected bill. I've paid their rent, their insurance, their utilities, and here they are, happily bending over backward for Vanessa, again. "Mom!" My voice trembles with fury. "Sophie is sick. I trusted you. I told you this presentation could change everything for me, for us. You knew how much I needed your help tonight." Mom's chin lifts, defiance flashing in her eyes. "You're being dramatic. It's not about money or presentations. It's about priorities. Vanessa is struggling and she needs us more." "Struggling?" I almost laugh. "You mean the boutique you two convinced me to invest in? The one I've been quietly covering the rent for? She doesn't need help. She has me." Vanessa finally looks up, smirking. "And what's wrong with that? You make more money than all of us combined. It's your responsibility to share. Family takes care of family." "No, family takes care of each other," I snap, my throat raw. "This isn't care, this is using me." Sophie stirs in my arms, whimpering. I rock her gently, heart aching at the sweat dampening her hairline. She deserves better than to be caught in this toxic tug-of-war. Ethan steps closer, his hand steady on the small of my back. "Let's go," he murmurs. "It's clear where we stand." But I can't move. Not yet. Not until I force them to hear it. "I've given you 6 years, I say, voice shaking but rising with each word. 6 years of monthly checks, of covering your bills while you called it temporary. 6 years of birthdays you skipped because you were too busy, of dinners where I footed the bill while Vanessa contributed nothing. And tonight, when I finally need you, you slam the door in my face." Dad exhales, rubbing his temples. "Rachel, don't turn this into a scene." I bark a bitter laugh. "A scene? You think I'm the one making a scene? Look around. You've already chosen. I'm not your daughter. I'm your bank account." The room goes silent. Even the boys stop playing, sensing the tension. Vanessa's smirk falters, but she quickly masks it with a scoff. "Get over yourself," she mutters. You're not the victim here. You should be grateful you can help. Something inside me hardens. Gratitude? For being bled dry? For being discarded the one time I dared to ask for help? I shift Sophie higher against my chest, her little arms tightening around my neck. My voice steadies, cutting through the air like glass. I understand now. I see it clearly. I'll never make this mistake again. Mom's cheeks flush crimson. Rachel, don't be so harsh. We love you. I meet her gaze, unflinching. You don't love me. You love what I can give you. Ethan has already grabbed Sophie's bag. His eyes meet mine, full of quiet strength. No more words are needed. We walk out. The night air hits my face like ice, but it feels cleaner somehow. Sophie's fever-warmed cheek presses against my collarbone and I breathe her in. She's all the reason I need to break free. As we buckle her back into the car seat, Ethan squeezes my hand. You okay? No, I admit, sliding into the passenger seat. But I will be. The car engine hums to life. The glow of my parents' house fades in the rearview mirror, replaced by the dark stretch of highway back to Seattle. And inside me, something shifts. The hurt is still raw, a wound laid bare, but beneath it, a clarity begins to form. I've spent years drowning in obligations. Tonight, I finally learned how disposable I am to them, and tomorrow, I know what I need to do. The drive back to Seattle is silent, except for the steady hum of tires on wet pavement. Streetlights flash across Sophie's sleeping face, her flushed cheeks a painful reminder of how fragile she is, and how easily my parents dismissed her. I stare out the window, arms folded tight, my jaw aching from clenching it too long. The words my mother threw at me were not babysitters, loop in my head like a cruel chant. Ethan's hand rests on the steering wheel, his knuckles pale from gripping too hard. Finally, he breaks the silence. You don't deserve this, Rachel. None of us do. The dam inside me cracks. 6 years, Ethan, I blurt out. 6 years of paying their rent, their utilities, their car insurance. 6 years of bailing them out while they treated me like an afterthought. And tonight, when I finally needed them, they chose Vanessa again, like they always do. His jaw tightens. You've been saying it for years, but tonight they proved it. I shake my head, laughter spilling out, bitter and sharp. Do you realize what this means? Every check I wrote, every loan they promised to pay back, none of it was about survival. It was about enabling Vanessa. She's the golden child, the one who can do no wrong. And me? I'm just the convenient paycheck. My voice grows louder, rising with each word until it bounces against the car windows. Sophie stirs slightly in the back seat, and I lower my tone, though the fury still burns. I can't believe I let them make me feel guilty all these years, I whisper. Every time I hesitated, they said things like, family helps family, or, don't you want us to have a decent life? And I gave in. I always gave in. Ethan glances at me, his expression softening. You thought it was love. You thought you were doing the right thing. But love doesn't keep score with dollar signs. I press my forehead to the cool glass, my breath fogging the window. I begged them for one night, just one, and they wouldn't even look at Sophie. They couldn't even pretend. The fury shifts into something sharper, more dangerous. Resolve. Ethan seems to sense it because his voice drops low, steady. What are you thinking? I turn toward him, heart pounding. I'm done. The word feels foreign on my tongue, but powerful. I'm done being their ATM. I'm done being guilt-tripped into saving them from their own choices. If Vanessa needs them so badly, let her carry the weight for once. I'm finished. He nods slowly, like he's been waiting years to hear me say it. Then we'll figure out the next step, together. The highway curves toward the glittering skyline of Seattle, rain slicking the streets in ribbons of silver. My reflection in the glass looks like a stranger, eyes wild, lips pressed thin, but behind the exhaustion, I see something else too. Fire. The fire of someone who's been pushed too far. I look back at Sophie, curled in her car seat, clutching her floppy-eared bunny. My throat tightens. She deserves stability, not a mother stretched thin by manipulation. She deserves a family who shows up. By the time we pull into our apartment garage, the fury inside me has crystallized into a plan. I don't know all the details yet, but I know where it starts. Tomorrow, I'll open my laptop. Tomorrow, I'll trace every check, every automatic withdrawal, every so-called loan. Tomorrow, I'll see exactly how much of myself I've handed over, and then I'll cut the cord. By the time we carry Sophie upstairs to our apartment, the city outside has gone still. Seattle has that strange hush after midnight, when even the ferries across the Sound seem to quiet their engines. I tuck her into bed, pressing a cool cloth to her forehead. Her fever has eased, thank God. Ethan lingers in the doorway, his shoulders heavy. "She's finally sleeping," I whisper. He nods. "You need to rest too. Tomorrow's presentation. I won't sleep." My voice comes out flat, final. He studies me for a long moment, then sighs. "I'll make tea, but don't stay up all night." I don't answer. My mind is already racing toward the glow of the laptop waiting on the kitchen table. The apartment feels cavernous in the dark, shadows stretching long across the hardwood floors. I sit down, lift the lid, and the screen bursts to life. My banking portal fills the page, neat columns of numbers documenting 6 years of sacrifice. 6 years. I scroll, month by month. $1,800 here, $250 there, $200 more. All of it scheduled like clockwork. I know the amounts by heart, but seeing them stacked in endless rows makes my stomach turn. I click open a separate spreadsheet I'd started weeks ago but never finished, a half-hearted attempt at keeping track of everything. Tonight, I'll finish it. Cell by cell, I enter the payments. Rent. Utilities. Insurance. Emergency transfers. Birthday loans that were never repaid. Each entry is a memory. The time I canceled a trip because Mom's car needed new brakes. The weekend we ate ramen because Dad forgot to pay the power bill. By the time I reach the bottom, the total glows on the screen. $118,640. I cover my mouth with my hand. That number doesn't even shock me anymore. What shocks me is how blind I've been. The kettle whistles. Ethan sets a mug of chamomile tea beside me, then pulls out the chair next to mine. "How bad is it?" I turn the screen toward him. His eyes skim the numbers, his jaw tightening with every line. "Jesus, Rachel." "That's almost a down payment on a house," I murmur. "All gone." He leans back, exhaling. "Not gone. Stolen." The word hangs heavy in the air. I minimize the spreadsheet, my cursor hovering over the banking portal again. Automatic transfers blink up at me, lined like little soldiers awaiting orders. The next rent payment is due in 3 days. Ethan's voice softens. "You don't have to decide tonight." "Yes, I do." My hands shake, but I force them steady. "If I don't, I'll wake up tomorrow and talk myself out of it, and they'll keep draining us forever." I click cancel payment. A warning box flashes. "Are you sure you want to cancel this recurring transfer?" My chest tightens. I picture Mom's face at the door, cold and dismissive. Vanessa smirking from the couch. Sophie burning with fever in my arms. I press yes. The box disappears. Just like that, 6 years of chains loosen slightly around my chest. I move down the list. Utilities, canceled. Phone plan, canceled. Car insurance, canceled. Each click feels like cutting another cord wrapped around my lungs. I draw in a deep breath, lighter than I've felt in years. Ethan watches silently, his hand resting on the back of my chair. Finally, he says, "So what now?" Now we see where the money really went. I open a separate tab and dig deeper. Cross-referencing statements, scanning transfers, following trails I never had the courage to trace. Hours blur as I comb through digital breadcrumbs. And then I see it. A series of transfers, large ones, funneled from my parents' account into another. The name leaps off the page. Vanessa Lux LLC. My stomach drops. I click through the boutique's website. glossy photos of designer dresses and handbags filling the screen. A smiling picture of Vanessa in oversized sunglasses stares back at me, tagged founder and creative director. Ethan? My voice shakes as I turn the screen. Look at this. He leans in, brows furrowed. They used your money to bankroll her store? The fury rises like fire in my throat. Every time they said we're behind on rent or Dad's medical bills piled up, it was all a lie. They were funneling my paychecks into Vanessa's damn boutique. Ethan rubs his temples. This explains why they always seemed fine. New furniture, vacations, the boys in private soccer leagues. It wasn't scraping by, it was luxury, on your dime. I can barely breathe. Betrayal pounds in my ears. They didn't just use me. They built her whole empire on me. I scroll further, clicking into images from the boutique's grand opening. My mother's smile, radiant under string lights. My father in a tailored suit. Vanessa raising a glass of champagne. And me? I wasn't even invited. The rage sharpens into steel. I save every document, screenshot each transfer, file it all neatly into a folder I name Family Records. If they want to twist the story, I'll have proof. At last, I shut the laptop. My hands are trembling, but not from fear anymore. From release. Ethan squeezes my shoulder. You okay? I nod slowly. No, but I will be. I glance toward Sophie's bedroom, the soft hum of her breathing monitor steady in the dark. She deserves better than this legacy of lies. She deserves a mother who knows how to protect what's hers. I sip the tea. It's gone cold, bitter, but I don't care. Tonight I severed the cord. Tonight I stopped being the family ATM. Tomorrow, I'll face the fallout. But for the first time, I'm ready. The following Saturday dawns gray and cool, the kind of early spring day when the clouds never quite decide whether to rain or not. Sophie is strapped in her car seat, babbling softly to her stuffed bunny while Ethan drives us toward the farmer's market. I'm staring out the window, trying to focus on anything but the gnawing pit in my stomach. A flash of neon poster board catches my eye as we slow near a familiar street. Yard sale. Designer items must go. The arrow points directly toward my parents' cul-de-sac. My chest tightens. Ethan, turn left. He glances at me, reading my face. Rachel, please, just turn. He doesn't argue. The car rolls down the block where I rode bikes as a kid, every house manicured, every driveway familiar. And there it is. My parents' two-car garage thrown wide open, folding tables spilling across the driveway, crowded with purses, golf clubs, and furniture. A handful of neighbors mill about, inspecting price tags. I don't need to step out to recognize half the items. The Italian leather sectional I'd paid for after Mom insisted their old sofa gave her back problems. Dad's Callaway golf set, purchased during a financial emergency that apparently hadn't stopped him from indulging. And the handbags, rows of designer logos gleaming under the weak sunlight, each one I'd been guilted into funding. I can't breathe. Ethan parks at the curb. Rachel, you don't have to. I do! My voice is steel. I unbuckle Sophie, who clutches her bunny tight. Ethan follows silently as I cross the street, the crunch of gravel loud under my shoes. Mom looks up from behind a card table stacked with jewelry, her face blanching when she spots me. Dad hovers near a cluster of golf clubs, pretending not to notice. Vanessa, of course, is front and center, sunglasses perched in her hair, barking prices to a neighbor admiring a Louis Vuitton tote. 300, she says briskly. Firm. It's practically new. I step forward, my voice ringing out sharper than I intend. It was my Christmas bonus 2 years ago. Heads swivel. Neighbors pause mid-browse, eyes darting between us. Vanessa's smirk falters. Rachel, what a surprise. Not really. My gaze sweeps over the tables. You plastered half the neighborhood with signs. I guess I was bound to see it. Mom forces a brittle smile. Sweetheart, this isn't a good time. Not a good time? I laugh, hollow and bitter. You're selling the furniture I bought, the purses you begged for, the golf clubs you swore were a necessity. You drained me for 6 years, and now you're liquidating like it's a clearance event. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Dad clears his throat. Rachel, keep your voice down. Why? Embarrassed? My hands tremble, but I don't stop. Because maybe it's time everyone sees the truth. You didn't need help. You needed a sponsor. And I was stupid enough to play along. Vanessa crosses her arms, her tone dripping with disdain. Don't twist this. You chose to help. No one forced you. Really? I snap. You called me at midnight crying about overdue rent. You told me Dad's health would suffer without his medication. And all the while you were funneling the money into your boutique, Vanessa Lux LLC. Ring a bell? Her face drains of color. You have no proof. I pull my phone from my pocket, swiping quickly until the transfer records fill the screen. I hold it up for everyone to see. I have every receipt, every transfer, every screenshot. Do you want me to start reading them out loud? Murmurs surge among the neighbors. Mrs. Carter from across the street shakes her head, whispering to her husband. The older couple who used to host block parties frown in dismay. Mom's voice trembles. Rachel, please. This isn't how families handle things. I round on her. Families don't lie. Families don't bleed one daughter dry to prop up another. Families don't slam the door on a sick child while babysitting their preferred grandchildren. The silence that follows is suffocating. Even the wind seems to hold its breath. Then Vanessa steps forward, her voice rising. You're jealous. That's what this is. You've always hated that I get more attention. Admit it. You can't stand that they love me more. Something inside me snaps. You're right. They do love you more. And I let it destroy me. But not anymore. I turn to the neighbors still hovering at the edges. You've known my family for years. You saw the vacations, the new furniture, the boutique ribbon cuttings. Do you know who paid for it all? Me. While they told everyone I was selfish, that I didn't do enough. A heavy hush settles. A woman I barely know mutters, I knew it didn't add up. Mom looks as if she might cry, but the tears feel rehearsed, calculated. Dad's jaw works, but no words come. Vanessa's face hardens into something cruel, but her eyes flick nervously at the onlookers. Ethan steps closer, his voice calm but firm. Rachel, let's go. You've said what needed saying. But I'm not finished. I shift Sophie on my hip, her small arms tightening around me. This, I gesture to the tables piled high with the remnants of my so-called generosity, is the last time you profit from me. I'm done funding your lives, done being the villain in your stories while you cash my checks. Vanessa opens her mouth, but I cut her off. Sell it all. Sell every last bag and chair and golf club, but don't call me again, because from this moment on, I'm not your safety net. I'm not your scapegoat. I'm not yours. The words leave me shaking, but the release is electric. I turn, heading back toward the car. The neighbors part quietly, watching, whispering. Some nod at me, small gestures of support. Others simply stare, shocked by the spectacle. Ethan opens the car door, his eyes steady on mine. You sure? He asks softly. I nod. For the first time in my life, I'm sure. As we pull away, Sophie hums to her bunny, oblivious to the storm we've just walked through. The sight of my parents' driveway shrinking in the rear view feels like shedding a skin I'd been suffocating inside. The hurt still throbs, but underneath it, something steadier, freedom. By Monday morning, the garage sale feels like a bad dream, except the fallout is everywhere I turn. At first, it starts with the notifications. My phone buzzes nonstop. Missed calls from blocked numbers, voicemails I don't dare listen to, texts from distant relatives I haven't spoken to in years. Then Ethan walks into the kitchen holding his phone like it's toxic. You need to see this, he says grimly. He sets the screen in front of me. It's Facebook. A new post from my mother's account, the profile picture of her and Dad smiling on some beach vacation I paid for. The caption is long, emotional, manipulative. Heartbroken today. Our daughter Rachel, who has more than enough money, has abandoned us in our time of need. After everything we've done for her, she's turned her back on her own parents. Please keep us in your prayers. Underneath are pictures, clearly staged. Dad sitting slumped in an armchair, eyes downcast. Mom with tissues balled in her fist, even the boys, Vanessa's sons, looking confused and sad, and the comments, dozens of them. So sorry, Linda. Some kids just forget where they come from. Shame on her. I never expected that from Rachel. You raised her better. I feel my stomach twist. My name is plastered across their pity party, and I haven't even had my morning coffee. I scroll further and find Vanessa's fingerprints all over it. She's replying to comments, fueling the fire. We've tried everything. Rachel just doesn't care. I hate airing dirty laundry, but people should know the truth. The truth. My laugh comes out sharp, humorless. Ethan squeezes my shoulder. This is her work. She's running the show. He's right. The phrasing, the staged photos, it all reeks of Vanessa's brand of manipulation. By noon, it gets worse. A colleague stops me in the break room, eyes wide. Hey, are you okay? I saw something online. I force a smile I don't feel. Family drama. Don't believe everything you read. But the whispers follow me through the halls. Later, my manager calls me into her office. Rachel, your sister phoned reception 3 times this morning. She said you've been unstable, maybe struggling with postpartum depression. The room tilts. What? She tried to convince us you're unfit to handle your accounts. Security had to escort her out. Shame and fury collide in my chest. Vanessa isn't content to smear me on social media. She's coming for my job, my reputation, everything I've built. That night, I sit at the dining table with Ethan, surrounded by stacks of printed bank statements, screenshots, and saved voicemails. Sophie sleeps down the hall, the soft hum of her monitor a steady reminder of what's at stake. This is war, I whisper, and she thinks she can win because she's louder, nastier. Ethan leans forward. Then we fight smarter. You already have the proof. Use it. Part of me recoils. I've spent my life avoiding conflict, smoothing things over, swallowing my anger. But Vanessa's left me no choice. I don't want to look like I'm attacking my own family. He meets my eyes. They already painted you as the villain. You can either stay silent and let it stick, or you can tell the truth. The truth. The word feels like a lifeline. I draft a post, my hands trembling but steady enough to type. For 6 years, I provided over $118,000 in financial support to my parents, rent, utilities, insurance, all of it. Much of that money was secretly funneled into my sister's boutique, while I was told my parents were struggling to survive. When I asked for one night of help watching my sick daughter so I could present a project that could save my company, I was refused. Meanwhile, they were babysitting my sister's kids. This isn't about abandonment. It's about boundaries. I will no longer be used as an ATM. Below are the records. I attach screenshots. Transfers to Vanessa Lux LLC. Text threads of midnight pleas for emergency money. Photos of furniture and handbags sold at the garage sale. Before hitting post, I glance at Ethan. He nods. My finger hovers for a breath. Then I press. The notifications explode instantly. Shares, comments, private messages. Some are cruel, accusing me of being heartless, selfish, but others are different. Thank you for saying this. I've been paying my brother's bills for years and couldn't find the courage to stop. Your mom bragged at book club about a vacation last month. We all wondered how they afforded it. Stay strong, Rachel. Boundaries aren't abandonment. For the first time in days, I feel something crack open inside me. Relief. Validation. I'm not crazy. I'm not alone. But Vanessa doesn't retreat. The next morning, I wake to a barrage of texts from blocked numbers. Selfish bitch. Hope you're happy destroying your family. Your dad's blood pressure is spiking because of you. I know who's behind them. Vanessa's too cowardly to sign her name, but the venom is hers. Ethan finds me at the counter, phone in hand, eyes burning. She won't stop, Rachel. No, I say, voice low but firm. She won't. But neither will I. Thanksgiving has always been the loudest holiday in our family. Cousins spilling into hallways, the smell of turkey and pumpkin pie clinging to every corner of my parents' house, football blaring from the living room. But this year feels different, heavier. The air itself carries tension, as though the walls know a storm is coming. Ethan squeezes my hand as we step through the front door. Sophie skips beside us, her bunny clutched under one arm, too young to understand the undercurrents swirling around her. My stomach twists. I know I shouldn't be here, but when Aunt Caroline called, insisting, if you have grievances, bring them to the table and clear the air, I agreed. I'm tired of whispers. I want the truth out loud. The dining room table stretches long, leaves added to accommodate uncles, aunts, and second cousins. My parents bustle around, pretending normalcy. Vanessa sits near the head of the table, already sipping wine, smirk firmly in place. "Rachel," Mom says, her voice overly bright. "We're glad you came." I set Sophie's coat on the back of a chair, my tone measured. "I came because I'm done hiding." The words hang heavy, conversations falter, forks pause midair. Dinner begins awkwardly, clinking silverware underscored by forced small talk. My father carves turkey, avoiding my gaze. Mom fusses over cranberry sauce. Vanessa fills silence with stories about her boutique, carefully omitting the fact it closed 2 months ago. Finally, Uncle David leans back, clearing his throat. "So, are we going to dance around it all night? Or is someone going to explain what's been blowing up Facebook?" Every eye swings toward me, then toward my parents, then Vanessa. I set down my fork. My pulse hammers, but my voice is steady. "Fine, let's talk." I reach into my bag and pull out a slim folder. The sound of the clasp snapping open is louder than the football game muted in the background. I slide the first page onto the table, rows of highlighted bank transfers. "For 6 years," I begin, "I covered my parents' rent, utilities, insurance, over $100,000. I thought I was helping them survive." Murmurs ripple, Aunt Caroline's brows knit. "But that money didn't go to survival." I flip to the next page. Transfers labeled Vanessa Lux LLC. "It went here, to fund my sister's boutique, the one she bragged about opening with her own savings." Vanessa's smirk vanishes. "This is ridiculous." I pull out my phone, press play. Her voice fills the room, recorded months ago on a call I'd saved without quite knowing why. "Rachel will keep paying. She's too guilty to stop. Honestly, I don't know why people say I'm bad with money. I have my own personal ATM." The room goes dead silent. My aunt gasps. Cousins exchange stunned glances. Vanessa lunges across the table. "That's taken out of context." "Really?" My voice sharpens. "Because I can play the rest. The part where you laugh about me canceling vacations so you could upgrade your SUV. She freezes, wine glass trembling in her hand. Dad finally speaks, voice low. "Rachel, stop humiliating your sister." I turn on him, fury igniting. "Humiliating? You watched me bleed for this family. You knew every check I wrote and you let her take it. And when I needed you once, just once, you turned your back." Sophie shifts in her chair beside Ethan, sensing the heat. He leans down, whispering softly to reassure her, while his other hand rests firm on my arm, grounding me. Cousin Mark breaks the silence. "Is this true? You let Rachel bankroll everything while telling everyone she abandoned you?" Mom's lips tremble. "We were desperate. We didn't know what else to do." "Desperate?" I laugh bitterly. "You had new handbags every season. You flew to Maui last spring. You weren't desperate. You were comfortable. On my dime." Aunt Caroline shakes her head slowly. "Linda, I remember you telling me Rachel refused to help with medical bills, that she was selfish." All eyes swing to her. Mom's face flushes crimson. I might have exaggerated." "Exaggerated!" I slam another page down, screenshots of texts. "Rachel, if you don't cover rent, we'll be on the street. We'll tell the family you don't care about us." The table erupts. Relatives murmur angrily. Some stare at my parents with open disgust. Vanessa, cornered, explodes. "So what? Rachel makes more than all of us combined. She can afford it. Why shouldn't she share? She owes us. We're family." My hands shake, but my voice cuts like glass. I don't owe you. I never did. Family isn't about draining the one person who works. Family is showing up, and none of you showed up for me or Sophie. Vanessa slams her glass down, wine sloshing across the tablecloth. You're jealous. You always have been. You hate that I'm loved more. I stand, heart pounding so hard it rattles my ribs. You're right. They loved you more. But they didn't respect you. They enabled you. And they never loved me, not really. They loved what I could give. That ends tonight. Gasps ripple. Someone whispers, good for her. The dam truly breaks then. Uncle David mutters, I knew something didn't add up when you bragged about that boutique, Vanessa. Aunt Caroline adds, and Linda, you lied to me, repeatedly. Even the younger cousins frown, whispering among themselves. The tide shifts, the room no longer united against me but fracturing around my parents and sister. Mom tries again, voice cracking. Rachel, please don't do this here, it's Thanksgiving. I meet her eyes, steel in mine. Exactly. Thanksgiving. A day to be grateful. And for the first time in years, I'm grateful for clarity. The confrontation spirals into chaos. Vanessa shouts over my words. Dad tries to regain control. Mom dabs at her eyes with a napkin. But the room no longer buys the act. Relatives pepper them with questions. The spotlight isn't on me anymore. It's on them. Ethan stands slowly, resting a hand on my shoulder. Rachel, you've said enough. They heard you. I exhale, trembling but firm. You're right. I scoop Sophie into my arms. She lays her head against my shoulder, her bunny dangling. I turn to the room one last time. I'm done playing the villain in their story. If anyone wants the truth, it's here. I gesture to the folder still on the table. If not, believe whatever lies make you comfortable. Either way, I'm finished. The hush that follows is deafening. I walk out, Ethan at my side, Sophie safe in my arms. Outside, the cold Bellevue air bites my cheeks, but it feels cleaner than the suffocating dining room. We walk to the car in silence, the muffled sounds of shouting still echoing inside. As Ethan buckles Sophie in, he looks at me with quiet pride. You were brave in there. I swallow hard, my throat raw. I wasn't brave. I was finally honest. The words settle in my chest like an anchor dropping. Heavy, yes, but steady. I slide into the passenger seat, watching the house shrink in the rearview mirror as we pull away. For the first time, I don't feel like I'm leaving family behind. I feel like I'm escaping a prison. The Thanksgiving showdown felt like ripping open a wound in front of an audience, but when the door closed behind me that night, something inside shifted. For the first time in years, I wasn't bracing for the next phone call, the next guilt trip, the next demand. Freedom is quieter than I imagined. It shows up in mornings when I wake without dread. It shows up in the sound of Sophie's laughter, echoing through our apartment instead of my parents' accusations filling my voicemail. It shows up in my own reflection, one that finally looks like me. Not the version they molded, but the woman who survived them. 3 weeks later, my boss calls me into her office. I expect another conversation about personal matters, but instead she slides a folder across the desk. Rachel, she says, smiling, we're promoting you to Senior Marketing Director, effective immediately. The words hit me like sunlight breaking through cloud cover. You've been carrying this department, she continues. Your strategy saved us more than once, and after watching you handle your... She pauses delicately. Family situation with grace. We know you can lead through anything. I swallow hard, blinking against the sting in my eyes. Thank you, really. She pats my hand. Use your voice the way you did in that meeting, Rachel. People are listening. That night, Ethan pops open a cheap bottle of champagne in our kitchen. Sophie squeals as bubbles fizz over the rim. I laugh, an unguarded, belly-deep laugh I haven't heard from myself in years. To new beginnings, Ethan says, raising his glass. To finally being free, I reply, clinking mine against his. The promotion comes with a salary bump, enough that Ethan and I can finally do something we'd only daydreamed about. House hunting. Not another cramped rental, but a home that's ours. The first time we walk into the craftsman-style place in Green Lake, sunlight streaming across the hardwood floors, Sophie dashes straight to the backyard. "My swing set!" she cries, pointing to a patch of grass as though it's already built there. Ethan squeezes my hand. She's right. This feels like home. We sign the papers 2 weeks later. Standing on the porch with the keys in my palm, I feel the weight of all the years I lived as their safety net, their scapegoat. Now, this key is proof that I chose differently, that I chose us. Therapy becomes another anchor. Dr. Chen helps me untangle guilt from love, obligation from respect. "You were taught that love is sacrifice without boundaries," she tells me one session. But love without respect isn't love, it's control. I sit with that truth. I let it settle into places where shame used to live. At night, after Sophie's asleep, I start writing. At first, it's just journaling, a way to bleed the poison onto paper. But soon, the words take shape. Essays about financial abuse, about the courage of saying no, about the difference between family and blood. When I share one on a private support group, the response is overwhelming. "Thank you. I thought I was the only one. Your story gave me the push to cut off my brother." I realize my story isn't just mine. It's a mirror for others. One Saturday morning, Sophie brings me a crayon drawing of our family. Me, Ethan, her, and the bunny she never lets go of. Just us, no one else. "Can we put it on the fridge?" she asks. I kneel down, kissing her forehead. "Of course, that's our family portrait now." As the paper sticks to the magnet, I step back and stare. It's messy, uneven, colored outside the lines, but it's real, and it's enough. The first knock comes on a rainy Friday evening. Ethan and I are in the kitchen, Sophie coloring at the table, when the sound echoes through our new house. My stomach clenches. We weren't expecting anyone. Through the frosted glass, I see the blurred outline of my mother's frame, umbrella drooping, shoulders slumped. "Rachel," Ethan murmurs, "do you want me to?" "No." I take a breath. "I'll handle it." I open the door. Mom stands there, soaked at the edges, mascara streaking faintly under her eyes. For the first time, she doesn't look polished. She looks human. "Can I come in?" she asks quietly. I shake my head. "Not tonight. Say what you came to say." Her voice trembles. "Your father won't admit it, and Vanessa, well, you know. But I can't keep pretending. You were right. I used you. I let her use you. I thought you'd never stop, and when you did, I hated you for it. I'm sorry." The words hang between us, heavy with too many years of absence. I cross my arms. An apology doesn't erase the damage. You chose her over me, again and again. "I know," she whispers, "and maybe I don't deserve another chance. But I want to try. I want to know my granddaughter, even if it's only supervised, even if it's only once a month." Behind me, I hear Sophie humming to herself, oblivious. My chest aches. I steady my voice. "If you want any part of my life, it's on my terms. Therapy, boundaries, no money. Ever again." Mom nods, quick and desperate. "Whatever it takes." I don't step aside, but I don't slam the door either. "Send proof. Show me action, not words. Until then, this is as close as you get." Her eyes well with tears, but she accepts it. "Okay." She turns, pulling her umbrella higher, and walks into the rain. When I close the door, Ethan wraps his arms around me. "That was brutal," he murmurs. "Necessary," I answer, my voice steadier than I feel. And in that moment, I know some bridges can be rebuilt slowly, carefully. Others must stay burned. The choice will always be mine now. If you've stayed with me through this journey, maybe you've seen pieces of your own story reflected here. I spent years believing love meant giving until I was empty. That family came first, even when it destroyed me. I confused sacrifice with connection, silence with peace. But walking away taught me something simple and hard. Boundaries aren't walls, they're doors. Doors I control. I get to decide who enters, who stays outside, and under what conditions. And for the first time, that power belongs to me. Cutting ties didn't mean I stopped caring. It meant I stopped carrying what was never mine. It meant redirecting my energy toward the people who actually love me back. My daughter, my husband, and the community of others who've been silenced by guilt the way I once was. If there's one message I want to leave with you, it's this. Love yourself enough to stop setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. You don't owe anyone your survival. You deserve peace, respect, and freedom, even if it means letting go of the people who never gave those things to you. And if you're listening right now thinking, that's me, that's my life, then hear me. It's not selfish to choose yourself. It's survival, it's strength. Thank you for walking this road with me. If this story resonated, please hit like, subscribe, and share it so others can find the courage to draw their own boundaries. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment about what this story made you feel, or how it connects to your own journey. Together, we can turn pain into clarity, and clarity into freedom.